I'm glad to join you this week. I hope everybody's doing well. Um, we're getting into crunch time around taxes, and I know a lot of you are kind of going through it, right? This can be a real moment of reckoning, especially if you're kind of feeling disorganized. If your documents aren't where you want them to be, if you didn't do bookkeeping through the year, I certainly know. And I say, without judgment from a place of experience, that it is massively stressful if you have not done bookkeeping for a whole year and you suddenly, are faced with the tax deadline and you have to do a full year of bookkeeping just to get your taxes done. That is a really awful project that can be hard and stressful. And I find usually if you have not touched your bookkeeping for a full year, there's usually a little bit of avoidance happening. And that's usually because you're struggling with something. So I just wanted to mention that and kind of hold some space for the heaviness around that, right? It can really feel hard. Especially if your money is not where you want it to be, right? Avoiding tends to make money problems worse. And money really requires some attention in order to improve. So that's why I wanted to bring you an episode today on why tax time is actually the key to turning your finances around. I was just speaking with a client yesterday who was telling me that she really connected with the fact that I'm pretty honest about the sort of ugly and hard places I've been with my own money, and that is certainly true. And she was asking me, like, how did you turn it around? How did you do it? And I wish I'd had a more succinct answer for her. I wished I'd had like a just do this 3 sentence version. And I was like, you know what? It's kind of hard work. It took me probably 15 years. Like, so it's not like a silver bullet. I want to give that to you, and I would if I could. But cracking open the door to some of the mindset stuff that was happening, that was a really big deal. Being kind to myself was a really big deal. Last week's episode, if you didn't listen to it, was about the 3 mindset habits, some 3 suggestions I give you on mindset to help crack the door open when you're really facing some hard feelings about facing your money. It's a very gentle episode, and it really has a positive outlook and will be helpful for you, I think. So definitely recommend you go back and listen to that. But today I want to get a little more practical because honestly, the real answer to this client's question, and it was a good question, is that's why I made my program. I made it really to help other people get out of the ugly, horrible place that I personally was in. And it is the way that I got out of it. And my program it's the whole reason I put my life's work into it. It's because it's what I've made to help you kind of get out of it. So I just wanted to talk about why all of that, why turning your money around is related to taxes, right? This moment that feels really stressful and awful if you're in a bad place with it, but that can actually feel pretty okay, right? You can actually get to a place where your taxes are not that bad. And where it's a moment where you implement a wealth building habit. And this is really where I want to land today. A wealth building habit that gets you the money that you need to fully retire, to fully rest, to fully have options in life. And to be totally honest with you, that's my secret agenda with all creative people doing beautiful visionary work everywhere. It's what I want for you. I want you to be able to rest and have that security. Okay, so why taxes? Why tax time? Well, really, because tax time is an annual check-in. It's a mandated moment where you actually have to go through everything and do some reconciling, right? You have to actually take a look at where things are. Now, I understand that's why so many people hate it so much. A lot of us don't want to look at it, right? Because it doesn't, if you have a loss in your business for multiple years in a row, you might be feeling a feeling of self-judgment. You might even be judged by an accountant. It can feel really rotten. And I say that, oh my God, with personal experience. It felt like an inquisition to me when I was, early days in my art career, and just looking at how much effort I put into my art career and how little financially it gave me. Now, my art career has given me many wonderful things, but a lot of its value isn't really in the money. And so it really sucked to sit with an accountant who never saw any of the value. And there's so much, right? It's allows me to deeply connect with people, have kind of a historical conversation, transcend space and time, um, move people to tears on occasion, on rare occasion, like deeply, deeply connect at a soul level to other human beings struggling in their existence on this planet. And I think that's worth a lot. So, so tax time is the check-in time, right? Is the evaluation time. And of course, looking at this with neutrality rather than self-judgment, looking at it with self-compassion and kindness is really important, right? If it feels like a moment of judgment and a moment of reckoning, it's just going to be hard to face, and it's going to be hard to fix if bad things are happening. So listen to last week's episode for some tips on that part of it. And now today I want to get a little more practical. All right. Okay. So tax time is really the time when you evaluate where you stand, and it's also the moment to enact the system to build your wealth. It's the moment to implement an annual habit of fully funding your tax-advantaged retirement accounts. And this is a really important thing to do. If you max out just an IRA every single year for your entire career, now the entire career part is actually important here. If you're starting halfway into your career, you're gonna, you're gonna have to put a lot more money in. But the way that the math works on the IRA limit, contribution limit, is actually built on purpose to be enough to retire on. But it only works if you implement it every single year. Okay. So that is the key. That is the key unlock, is you have to get to a place where you have enough capacity, mental capacity and cash capacity, to fully fund your retirement accounts, your tax advantage retirement accounts. You get a boost from the government, you get a lowering of your taxes, sometimes even a saver's credit if you're a lower income person. So you get extra money in your pocket when you do it. So there's a big advantage that you want to take advantage of. But it's really important to implement this as a do or die habit, something that is your North Star, that you do not miss, that you do not scrimp on, and that you do every single year. And tax time is the time, okay? It's kind of the marker, all right? So where do I see people stumble, right, when it comes to taxes? Well, this is what I see. And I say this because I have done the taxes of so many creative people, nonprofit consultants, people who are doing really care-based healing work. That's wonderful for the world, right? These are the people I want to be thriving. But this is the stumble that I see over and over again. Being disorganized, having your taxes, especially your tax bill, be a surprise, and having your taxes be a scramble, right? Getting behind on your tax bill because you didn't realize, or you did realize, but you kind of put your head in the sand about paying estimated quarterly taxes as the law requires self-employed people to do. You're making money from self-employment. It is not an optional thing. It's a required thing. And so what happens when you don't have an ongoing system, when you don't ever look at your money throughout the whole year, and tax time is the one and only time you do it, you're kind of too late to implement any systems to make it better, right, for that year that's gone by. And what happens is you run out of cash. So you run out of cash because you have a giant full annual tax bill all due on April 15th, when you really were supposed to be paying your taxes 4 times throughout the year that's gone by. And so if you had done that, you would have prepaid your taxes already by the time you got to April 15th, and you would arrive at April 15th with very little tax bill, a little reconciliation amount, not a full annual tax bill. That full annual tax bill, especially if you didn't know if it was coming, especially if it's a surprise, especially if it's large, can be debilitating. I was just at a business retreat and I was talking to a woman who she faced a tax bill that just knocked her completely off of her game in her growing business, right? She's in that phase of business where she's super, super busy and overwhelmed, and there's a lot going on, and it's hard, right? It is hard to keep a young business going and growing and building. And a thing like a huge tax bill that you didn't plan on can really knock you off your stride. It can frankly send you out of business. If you have to use all the cash in all your accounts, or you don't have the cash at all and you have to start a payment plan with the IRS, you need cash to operate your business. It can put you out of business. And I just never want to see that happen to anyone. Okay. And when you run out of cash, secondarily, you don't have any cash left to fund your wealth, to actually build a future for yourself, right? You're caught scrambling and making up for the past, and you don't build towards the future. Okay. Tax time is the moment where you get this huge tax incentive through IRAs, whether they're traditional IRA or Roth IRA or a SEP IRA, which is even lovelier, or a solo 401k. And it's the moment where you make sure that that is fully funded for the prior year. Most of those, the 401k, the deadline is late December. It's the moment where you fund that thing and build your future. Okay. But you have to have cash in your accounts, and a huge debilitating tax bill is going to guarantee you don't have cash in your accounts. And if you get stuck in this oh shit cycle, right, then what happens is you end up being in this same terrible position every year, repeating the mistake over and over again, and actually never building wealth, never building a nest egg towards your future, towards your security, towards your impact on the world. So here are the steps. This is a high-level overview of basically what it takes to get to a place where these things are not a surprise and where you are in a position to fully fund your retirement. So get yourself organized with better systems, okay? Systems prevent your tax time being a scramble, and it prevents your tax bill being a surprise. That's step one. So what you need, the systems you need 3 systems. You need a place to organize your tax documents. You need a place for your receipts. You need to keep all your receipts, and you need to set up bookkeeping. You need to have your bookkeeping be at least active enough that you know once per quarter what profit you have. Okay. You don't have to even do it monthly, but once per quarter at a minimum. Okay. Now, why? Why do you need these things? Knowing where all your tax documents are, the tax document setup, that prevents massive stress, right? Missing a tax document is a big deal. It's going to require you to have a pen pal relationship with the IRS, which is not the fun kind. So we want to avoid IRS pen pals whenever we can. We want to keep all our tax documents, not lose those things. You just need a place to put them, and you just need to put them all there. It's not a huge deal. You can do it. And in January, I did an episode, I'll link to it in the show notes, where I talked about how to set up these systems. Okay. So feel free to go back and listen to that episode if you're realizing, oh shit, I never set these things up, and I really could use that. Okay. Now, next, you need a way to track your receipts. This is not a big deal. Setting it up takes 5 minutes. And again, go look at that January episode to get my detailed recommendations on how to set up a receipt tracking system. It's actually super simple. It will take you less than 5 minutes. You'll be a little shocked at how simple it is. And then lastly, you need your bookkeeping. Now, bookkeeping is the hard one of the 3, right? The other 2 take 5 minutes. Bookkeeping takes more than 5 minutes. But bookkeeping is the biggest part of knowing what your profit is. The major goal of your bookkeeping, forget all the chart of accounts and the fancy stuff. Most of you don't even need that, all of the bells and whistles of a, bookkeeping software. What you need is simply to track your income, track your expenses, and know the difference. In other words, to know what income is left over after your deductible expenses, so you know your profit. Why is profit so important? Profit is your taxable income. plus or minus a couple little things. But essentially, when you know your profit, you can do a rough calculation of what tax you owe. And now, with that information, taxes do not need to be a surprise. You can know in advance. And that, my friends, is an unlock for you that will get you to a place where you can have cash in your bank account because you can plan. Okay? So, when you know your profit, you can pre-calculate what you owe for taxes. You can stay on top of your legal requirement to be paying your taxes every quarter, and you can make those payments. And the magic, the beauty, the wonder of paying estimated quarterly taxes as the law requires you, and especially if you're making, some real income from your self-employment, is that you're prepaying your tax bill. Every single quarterly tax payment you make is a credit against your April 15th tax bill. So in other words, if you've paid the whole bill already when it comes to April, you don't get a bill. You don't get a bill. You're done. You're done paying, which is fantastic, right? And now you realize, oh my God, now I can use the cash to fund my IRA. All right. So what are these tax advantage accounts that I'm talking about? In a future episode, I may go into more depth on them. I certainly go into a lot of depth about how to set them up, exactly what all of the requirements are inside my program, Money Bootcamp. But just high level, when I talk about tax advantaged accounts that you want to be funding to build your wealth, to build your security, I'm talking about an IRA, that's an individual retirement arrangement. An IRA is something that most taxpayers have access to, whether you have a W-2 job or you're self-employed. An IRA is independent of your employment, and that is what the I stands for, okay? And so either a traditional or a Roth IRA, essentially one gives you a tax benefit today and the other gives you a tax benefit when you take the money out, okay? The traditional IRA gives you the tax benefit now, lowers your taxes this year. The Roth IRA gives you tax-free withdrawal at the end, okay? That's the difference between the two. There's also some bigger accounts where you can put even more than the $6,500 2023 tax year limit. And that's the SEP IRA. The SEP IRA, you can put 20% of your self-employed profit. And so the SEP IRA, if you're making over like $32,000, $35,000 per year, then you have a higher limit that you can put into a SEP IRA. And SEP IRAs are traditional style, so you get a tax benefit now. In other words, if I put $10,000 into a SEP IRA this year, $10,000 comes off this year's taxable income, saving me probably about $2,000 to $3,000 in taxes. That's a really big deal. Saving $2,000 to $3,000 effectively will give you more cash to be able to put into the SEP IRA, right? Into savings, into future you. And that's really literally the entire point of creating these tax advantage accounts. They are to boost the amount of money that you can put inside them, okay? So they lower your tax bill. They're an incentive for you to save, and the time to implement them is tax time. So getting your documents and systems organized, knowing your profit, anticipating your taxes due, prepaying your taxes in the form of estimated quarterly taxes. All of this leads you to a place where you do not owe a huge amount of money on April 15th, and you have cash available to fund your retirement. It is totally possible for an artist, for a creative person, for a nonprofit consultant, for a healer to have a fully funded retirement. I say with vast experience, and I myself am on track for it. People with modest incomes, but an absolutely religious devotion to maxing out their traditional IRA every single year, or any one of their IRAs every single year. I have witnessed these people comfortably retire, and this is possible for you. This is possible for you. I just want you to remember that tax time is your implementation time, and this is why you don't want to be in a scramble setback situation on the tax deadline, because the tax deadline is your deadline to fund your IRA and you screw yourself out of being able to take advantage of this wonderful advantage that's there for you if you don't have the cash. Okay. So I hope that that clarifies for you the high level reasoning behind why you want to actually get your taxes organized. I know it can be difficult to face, especially if it's been bad. I want to hold that space with you. I've been there myself, and also I've gotten through it. And I want to say to you, it is possible to get through it. Okay. If I do nothing else in this episode, I just want to unlock that possibility to you and show you that it's real. Okay. So I just want you to picture in your mind for a moment, like, what would it look like in your life? What would it unlock for you if you had a fully funded retirement, right? Have you discounted the fact that that might even be possible? It is. The fact is, it is possible. Okay. What would it unlock to you to have a fully funded retirement? Would it give you peace of mind? Would it give you freedom to partner with whoever you wanted to, or maybe unpartner with someone that you might want to? Would it give you freedom to say yes to a dream project? Would it give you the freedom to spend more time with your kids or your friends, traveling, just resting? Would it give you the freedom to make the biggest, boldest work that you can? How about having a bigger impact on your career, reaching more people, making bolder work, getting better equipment and materials, and making that work in a more easeful way, right? And what about rest? What about taking sick days? What about taking time off? Retirement, of course, is the ultimate rest, right? So I just want you to think through what that would look like, vision a little bit into the future, and know that this really is possible. And I'm trying to give you the tools. So I hope that high level overview has kind of helped you realize like what the path is so that you can see that there is a real roadmap to this place. It is possible. It is not imaginary. Okay. And I also want to let you know, I did a free class last week where, in this class, I kind of outlined some more detail over what these steps are and how they build on each other. So a little bit of just tax knowledge, basic tax knowledge, how the quarterly tax deadlines work and self-employment tax works, some of the things that trip people up. And also in this class, I went over the math, right? I went over the math of compound interest, how it actually works when you have money invested and growing with compound interest every year. And furthermore, when you put those investments inside tax advantaged accounts where they grow faster because they are not subject to taxation every year. And that actually makes their growth be stronger and more robust and accelerated. This is the magic. This is the magic. So I show you actual real life numbers about what it looks like to fully fund just one traditional IRA every single year. I give you the math on that. And I will tell you that there are other accounts you can use where you can put even more money. So if you're starting later, you're going to probably want to take advantage of those higher income limits in a SEP IRA or a solo 401k. But I just want to show you that it's possible. Okay. If you're interested in watching that class on demand, and where I go into more detail on each of these steps, and I really show you and lay out the path for you and how it is possible. I've made that class that I gave last week. I've made it on demand, and you can watch it today if you want to. You can get it on demand at go.sunlighttax.com/register. That's go.sunlighttax.com/register. And if you take nothing else away today, what I want you to know is that tax time is your moment where you can implement a habit. If you do one thing only, it is treating tax time as a moment to focus your mind, to have organized systems so taxes are not so horrifying to you, so that they actually are prepaid and not so painful. And so you have cash available to you to fully fund these accounts that exist to give you an extra bonus, put extra money in your pocket. So you reap all of that money and you can put it towards future you, because that vision that you have, that need for rest, that need for freedom, that need for financial security is totally possible. All right. All right. I hope this has been helpful to you. Lots of love to all of you out there. Be well. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm so grateful for that. This video is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links I reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.